Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the officially unofficial NSLI-Y podcast. My name is Yelena.
My name's Luke, and we're a part of the 2023-24 Russian language cohort in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan.
We're so excited to be here discussing NSLI-Y and giving you the perspective from current students. Our episode today will be about the NSLI-Y program not being specific to any language or duration. So let's dive right in.
NSLI-Y stands for National Security Language Initiative for Youth.
It's a U.S. State Department program. It's aimed at fostering international relations and communications, giving young people and future Americans, or future adult Americans, I guess, the ability to breach language and cultural barriers.
And it primarily focuses on the critical languages, which the U.S. State Department deems as languages that I guess there's weaker connection with in the world. Do we want to expand on which languages those are?
Yeah, so they are Arabic, Chinese, Hindi, Indonesian, Korean, Persian, Turkish, and Russian.
And I wanted to add that year to year, they don't have all 8 languages active. I know that this year the active programs are, there's Morocco.
For Arabic.
There's Morocco for Arabic, Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan for Russian. There's
Taiwan for Chinese, and Seoul for Korean. Yeah. But that's for this year. I'm not 100% sure on what the summers are, but yeah, they do change. NSLI-Y actually is a full scholarship, so you don't have to pay any money. There are certain things that you do have to pay money for, for example, a valid U.S. passport. You can find more information about that on the NSLI-Y website. It's a full scholarship. It's based on merit, and it's for high school students of all levels of this language. Luke came in with no Russian language knowledge. I came in with 1 year of Russian language knowledge.
2 students came in having done the summer program of NSLI-Y. So you do have the option to do the summer program and then follow up with the academic year program, but not one right after the other. So the 2 students that did the summer program, they were here in Bishkek in the summer of 2022, and then they came back this year for the 23-24 academic year.
So they loved it, essentially. So NSLI-Y is a U.S. State Department program, but it's implemented by different organizations, including American Councils, AFS USA, and Mid-East. So because of this, the programs aren't identical across the languages, but they're similar. They have similar elements. All NSLI-Y programs most NSLI-Y programs have an academic year and summer program. Academic year ranges from 8 to 9 months. Our program is 9 months, and the summer program is around 7 weeks. The academic year program is said to be more rigorous, and obviously because it's a whole year, and the summer program less rigorous, but because they're trying to do the same amount of stuff, it's as in like cultural programs, it's kind of more condensed. And you can do the academic program any year of high school, I think, starting from sophomore year. Luke and I have both graduated, but there are people in our program who this is currently their junior or senior year. And the summer program, your last year to do it is after your senior year.
So in addition to the academic and summer programs, there is a virtual NSLI-Y option, and that looks like a 10-week online program that is typically beginner level in the foreign language that you're studying. You have online language partners that are assigned to you and cultural classes that are involved too. The virtual classroom is roughly 10 students, and you meet 2 times a week for about 90 minutes. So I also want to add that there's 1 or 2 students in our current program that
I think 3 or 4 actually.
Well, 3 or 4 students that have done the virtual program, and I don't know a whole lot of details, but I do know that they received packages from NSLI-Y, including notebooks, pens, and even a couple souvenirs,
swag.
some swag that was that has to do with the culture of whatever language you're learning. So there were some, I think, Kyrgyz snacks that were
Oh, that's
sent.
cool.
There was some sort of snack that was sent to one of the students. Um, but yeah, so you're given whatever materials that you need. NSLI-Y tries to be as equitable as it can with things. So that's a full, like Elena said, a full merit scholarship. And even there's a stipend for the, I think, summer program, right? And I know for
Yes.
academic year, though, we get
Mm-hmm.
first and second semester stipends to, as best as we can, pay for transportation,
Transportation and
um,
yeah, things like that.
whatever we might need. And for the virtual, I guess they try and compensate for that by sending you a package.
Yeah, it might seem like a letdown if you get into virtual, but trust me, everybody in our cohort who did virtual really they enjoyed it. You know, you're still learning the language, you're still interacting with the language and people of the culture. It's just as the summer and academic programs are different experiences. Virtual NSLI-Y is a different experience, and trust me, it's worth your time. In terms of applying for NSLI-Y, you can find the application on their website. And actually, through this application, at the same time, just by checking a box, you can apply for Flex Abroad and Yes Abroad. Those two programs I don't know very much about, but you can find more information about them through the NSLI-Y website. The application is usually due around early November, and it opens a month and a half in advance, I want to say. And though it might be tempting to leave it to the last minute, I highly recommend you don't. I had multiple people read over my application. I mean, this is lots of people are applying to this program, and you really want to get in. So put a lot of effort into that. They ask about, they have a few essays about maybe why you want to learn the language. I feel like, I don't know, their essays cover a few topics. And then they also, if you make it to the next round, they have an interview. And it's just, it's a basic interview, like if you're applying to a college or anything. Did you also have a NSLI alum?
I did not actually. I ended up having a recent Ukrainian refugee as my
Oh,
interviewee. So
interesting.
it made for a fun, interesting conversation. But I think nevertheless, whoever the person interviewing you is, you can have some sort of interesting connection or
Yeah.
conversation with them, especially if they're an alumni. I guess it's great to ask their experience too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I know before COVID they had in-person interviews, but mine was online. And I don't know if that will change in the future. I think online interviews in general are easier, but I don't know. Yeah, so there are some things that are similar in all NSLI programs, no matter the language or the duration. One of those is NSLI always comes in cohorts. So our cohort is 11 people. I think they maybe go up to 15, or I think summer programs are bigger because they're more, I want to say they're in more high demand for the summer.
Yeah, I think the summer is it's a much easier time to, I guess, drop everything that you have in the U.S. and live somewhere else and just only study the language. So if if you're worried about just skipping a year of your U.S. education, the summer program is a great option. But otherwise, I obviously took the route of finishing high school and then doing a year abroad, and I think that's a great option if you
Mm-hmm.
want to really devote 9 months to learning the language.
Yeah, in terms of the people who are currently in school, I know one of them is, I think he just stacked his freshman, sophomore, junior year, and is taking maybe one class right now online. The junior is just going to have a busy senior year. I know that. But she was also lucky because she stacked her freshman and sophomore years in hopes of having an easy senior year. But I guess it played out in her favor. But yeah, so we have 11 people in our cohort. We're split into two language classes. So 6 and 5 people. I know other cohorts have 3 language classes, maybe even 4. I'm not sure. But we do a lot of things with our cohort outside of language classes. We have lunch together every day at the university, though not every lunch is the same for every program. We hang out, we walk around, we go out to dinner. We're all pretty good friends. So having a cohort is really cool in that way, and we're all growing at the same time. So it's nice to have somebody who understands you.
And another big part of what is NSLI-Y is the living placements. So, or the living arrangements. I know that most programs have host families. Our program is one of them. And if you're not with a host family, you will be with other students in a dorm of some sort. Um, but I guess attesting to the host family experience, I think it's generally a very positive one. There are few negative experiences that I've heard of, and especially it of course varies across all cultures, but I know that Kyrgyz culture is very welcoming. They want to make sure you eat as much food as you can, and that means forcing food on you even if you're full, but that also means that they want you in their home. They want to appreciate you as much as they can. And that I know of most other NSLI-Y language locations go through that same experience. A lot of the families, NSLI-Y tries to find the most welcoming and I guess providing families that they can. And so we all that I know of have had quite positive experiences.
And obviously, moving in with the family, it's going to come with shocks, or you have to adjust to it, because most of us have been living just with our families for the past 17, 18 years. So it takes, as with everything in this program, it takes adjusting to, but it's also a wonderful thing to live with a host family, because you come home after maybe hanging out with Americans and you're speaking your target language. And it's good because you're not just learning what you have to learn in a classroom. It's you're really living the language. And a lot of us have younger host siblings, which is fun to play with them. And even if they seem like they have boundless energy, they don't care if you make a grammatical mistake. So that is nice. And yeah, most of the host parents are kind, and they'll correct your grammar and help you out and sit with you for a long amount of time and talk. So I've enjoyed living with a host family, even if it's had its ups and downs.
Yeah, I think we could both talk for a very long time about all the benefits of a host family. But again, I think a huge one, because of the fact that NSLI-Y is a language learning program, it is a really good continuation of the classroom. Um, it's again because of the different organizations, our classroom time looks different and what we do in the classroom. But for the Bishkek program, we have 3-hour classes 5 days a week, and so that looks like 9:30 we come in for class and 12:30 we go to lunch, and then after that is whatever, maybe an excursion that's planned for us, but typically it's your own free time.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for any future episodes, because there will be more specific information in future episodes about the different languages classes, different languages living situations. But yeah, that's what it's like in Bishkek at our university. I can't say with certainty, but the Russian program is in host families. That I can say with certainty. But I know one of the programs, I'm pretty sure, changes host families 3 times a year. So they'll have 3 or 4 different host families throughout the year. One of the programs is in dorms during the week and goes to host families over the weekend. So there's all sorts of things. And again, keep an eye out for future episodes that will talk more specifically about the different languages and the different experiences with these different elements of the program. Luke, do you want to talk about cultural classes a little?
Yeah, so typically what cultural classes look like, it's what we just call excursions, and roughly I think about once every 2 weeks we have an excursion, and typically the program will plan out a couple overnight stays throughout the year, but a lot of times it'll be like going out to do an art project, whether that's doing some sort of felt making or
And that's for the Kyrgyz program, because felt is a big part of Kyrgyz culture. Yeah, art or even hiking. Just experiencing what culture is like. I'm certain almost every program has some sort of cooking, some sort of games excursion.
Also, they will have a calendar planned out of all the excursions that they plan ahead, but there are a couple excursions that are sort of last minute, which can be really exciting. We had one of our sort of last minute planned ones, I believe, was watching the headless goat polo, which is
don't call it that. Yeah, well, that's what it is.
It's more fun telling people that that's what we watched, because but basically what it is it's a national game in all of Central Asia, actually, that it's like polo. You're riding on horses, and you have goals, but the ball is a headless goat.
Yeah, sometimes it's a whole goat.
Sometimes it's a whole goat.
But yeah, we're running out of time here on our end. So the last thing we'll kind of briefly touch on is the alumni program. So there are thousands of NSLI alumni, and there are a lot of opportunities for NSLI alumni, including applying for other scholarship programs, and there are a lot. We'll make an episode about that. Note to self. There are meetings around the country, and it's a prestigious program that you guys can participate in, NSLI-Y. And, it looks good on resumes, and it's just, in addition to all of this prestigious, it's a prestigious program. You have these like NSLI-Y alumni meetups in DC. It's an incredible program. You come out of it with an incredible knowledge of a language and a culture, and I highly recommend it. I mean, we have less than a month left, and it's hitting me. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, also, one thing I do want to add is, don't think that your desired career field should limit whether you do NSLI-Y, what language you choose, and whatever, because we have people who want to eventually one day work in the foreign service for the U.S. government. We have people who want to become an engineer.
That's me. People who want to be like work in IT. It's just everything.
Even actually, one that I didn't think about before was one girl wants to work in the
hotel management.
So there's a lot of things there's way more things that you can do. At least what I thought going into the program, there's way more things that you can do with the language than you thought. And even beyond the language, there's a lot you can do with your experience, because like we said, there's a lot of cultural experience involved, and that comes from host families and excursions, and even just interacting with the locals that you're going to interact with, just living your life here.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to our first episode. Hopefully we'll have a second episode, third episode, fourth episode rolling out, just so that you guys can learn as much as you can about this program. Feel free to put any questions in the Q&A section or the comments. Feel free to email us with any questions that you have at all. The email is unofficiallynsliy@gmail.com. Thanks again for tuning in. This has been Yeliana
and Luke, and we hope that you tune into our next podcast.